I've been dead meat.
And then down here, it's barely now what's the so on the appeals side, petitioners the city didn't use their petitioners. I stated petitioners under city. I didn't change it. Classic copy paste. So they'll probably follow. Not a big deal. Sure. It will get treated.
Fire up my computer. So I can print out all the licenses. Okay, drive careful.
How's it going? Hi, I'm Tom Henderson. I'm the city attorney. Oh, here with the auditor's office.
Hey, Tom, Ted. That was the department manager.
You're a big asset.
We certainly try. That failed.
I talked to John.
Right.
As
I stated,
that's all right.
And undoubtedly, out of this, we would probably request nobody has any idea where it's going to go. Just be aware of that. Are you guys going to be the primary speakers? Okay.
I don't know. There's four allegations I can talk about. All four. The one thing that we're going to ask you, and I don't know if it's fair or not, I feel a little late to be contesting those 2 years.
We're focusing primarily on that's what it is. Well, if you look at chapter 24, that's in 3D419, that's the remit. So that's what we've been focusing on. A lot of times I just kind of let it go so we can gather as much information as possible. And then we'll take anything that's not on the we're trying to get to the gist of what he's
We'll respond to the other allegations for the prior years. But
that's
I just thought,
yeah.
I may even say that we're taking a position.
We'll hear it out.
Yeah, understand that. And then I know that they probably will be contacting you in the future with regard to the positions and what goes out to really helpful. I appreciate it. I know it's on machine appreciation. So that's really helpful. Because I think these things are hard for cities.
They really are. You never know what to expect.
Things change in the course of the years, but that's the
It's living document.
1 hour.
Hour 15. Hour 15 is usually what it means.
We go for 1 hour.
Well,
She's got a tease out of you. I'm just kidding.
law clerks known for that.
Okay, thanks for that.
No problem.
Oh, it's line through the zero or the O?
So you sit at the end. Four minutes. Anybody needs to use the restroom, now's the time. And we'll get started. Gary Brown in here? Not yet. Not yet? Okay.
It's gonna get toasty.
May have to remove the jacket. I wasn't thrilled to put it on in the first place. No, probably not. I think we're okay. As long as everybody speaks loud.
So much. Okay, can I ask you a question? So so the O with the line through it, that's what?
0.
Star?
Like an asterisk, yeah. Not words.
I thought it was zero. Thank you so much.
Try not to shake it out of there.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Gary? Hey. So.
Can't make this number. Well, grand plan.
Everybody
Might have to pick up your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, I have been to enough small cities that they have Wi-Fi, that do not have Wi-Fi.
I haven't tried it yet, so I'll go back.
You're just gonna be.
A little later. Okay.
Oh, you guys bring it all out.
City.
There we go. Oh, for them too. I don't know. It might not be like your requirements.
I'm gonna summarize essentially.
Right. Actually, when you get on.
Still looking at these.
Maybe that is. I don't know. Who knows? Or maybe it's just a
So I'm
glitch.
only gonna have and basically 25 and then the other thing I saw that potentially
That's what
Yeah. Look forward to this. At the moment I feel completely out of my depth, but
okay, sure, yeah, that'd be fine. Scary now.
well, it's just, you know, yeah, you're coming.
Right, yeah, we're used to scary.
I'm wearing the 529.
Is AC in here? Because if you want it on, turn it on, it just takes that fan on.
Let me turn the sound system on, and I'd rather be.
Cheers.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice try it.
Thank you.
Maybe like train it down so it's not being on.
And so I made, this will be about 1,000 in here in a minute.
Well, maybe not.
Wi-Fi doesn't work.
Battery. Jason,
And as always,
can you grab me 2 double A's?
Where you from?
Ponderam?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So you're not far from home right now.
No, actually not. Where are you from?
Kind of all over. We moved to Muscatine last night. So I grew up in this coast. A little bit of culture change.
I would imagine.
Oh, and the minute I got here, everybody was in high school. I was going to that. That's why we moved to Virginia, got in, and by the time I was getting my went to Iowa instead. How long have you been in the auto?
Since 2015.
Oh, great. Great. I'm not trying to play. Free country. I'm so bad. Did it work?
There, so that I know.
Yeah, I never actually made it up to Ferrari. I was last class, first class I didn't go.
Oh, really?
They had closed that.
Oh, okay.
I was the first one to go.
Oh, really? Well, that'd be kind of cool.
Those guys can do it.
Yeah.
I grabbed that.
Right? That's what. That really was a triangle over the center of the town, and you can bring that out.
I haven't followed, I have heard they're getting ready.
Maybe that's right.
I haven't followed up.
Thought I saw some of the. Maybe they have.
They might have already.
Yeah, just sit on it. Which is smart. 10 years ago, when you do it, the other front is 5 grand. And it's cheaper, likely to be cheaper in 10 years. Something could happen.
All right. Thank you for coming today. We are here for a budget protest appeal hearing on the fiscal year 26-27 budget for the city of Mitchellville. I am Ted Nelson. I'll be acting as the hearing officer, and I'm also the representative with the Department of Management or State Budget Office. Along with me today, I have Ed Failer, member of the Treasurer of State's Office, and Cole Hawker. I don't know if it's Hawker or Hoker. Cole Hawker, who is a member of the Auditor of State's Office. Those are the 3 members of the State Appeal Board. So we will be gathering information and taking it back to the State Appeal Board, who will ultimately be making a decision on the appeal. This is an informal hearing. It's information gathering. We're here as a result of a petition submitted on May 11th, 2026, in accordance with Chapter 24 and 3 to 419 of the Code of Iowa. A hearing was set. Notice a public hearing was issued to address the appeal of the Mitchellville FY2026-27 budget. This time, the hearing is going to convene. Based on the authority granted in Chapter 24 of the Iowa Code, the State Appeal Board has entrusted us with coming and collecting the information necessary for them to make the decision. Again, the State Appeal Board is is made up of Craig Paulson, the State Budget Director and the Director of the Department of Management. Robbie Smith, the Treasurer of State, and Rob Sand, the Auditor of State. This is just an information gathering hearing. No decision will be rendered today. The decision will be rendered later in June at the normal meeting of the State Appeal Board. I believe they have it set currently for June 26th as of right now. Hopefully everybody has agreed to that. The last I heard, they hadn't agreed to it yet, but that's the tentative, and I think that will be the day when the outcome of this hearing will be rendered. The petition filed with the State Appeal Board listed, and I am summarizing, the following objections with the 26-27 budget. Incorrect handling of the FY25 and the FY25 annual financial report and the FY26 re-estimation on the budget, creating an incorrect balance estimate for the beginning of FY26-27, and then public safety and culture and rec expenditure amounts that are higher than necessary for the city. We're going to have a couple of representatives for the petitioners and for the city. Try to keep it small to keep things moving along. So the petitioner speaker, please identify yourself with name and address.
Harry Brown.
Actually, it's not on, so just
I think she said.
speak loudly.
Harry Brown, 208 Cotton Avenue, Mitchellville.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gary. All right, and City of Mitchellville, the representatives who will be representing you, please state your name, address, and affiliation.
My name is Tom Henderson. I'm the city attorney. Precious Law with Bill Law Firm, 699 Walnut, Suite 2000, 1 hour.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So the hearing format today, as I said, will be informal. It is structured, though, to keep things moving along. We will stay on point. We will try to eliminate any comments that are repetitious or off topic. Civility, keep it civil. Make sure that this stays on the topic of the 26-27 budget and doesn't stray into any areas of personal upset. It's a fact-finding process, as I said. We'll go about an hour and 15 minutes. First, the petitioners will present their opening statement and exhibits. Then the city will present their opening statement and remarks. Each of those will last about 15 minutes. Then the petitioners, after the city presents, will be given an opportunity to rebut against the facts stated in the city's opening. At that point, we will have any presentation from third-party interveners, so any groups that are interested or any organizations that have an interest in the outcome. Then we will be taking public comment. Keep your public comment short so that we have enough time to get everybody through. We only have about 10 minutes for the public comment section. We will go a little bit longer if necessary, but we want to keep the comments down to 2-3 minutes, keep them pithy. Then we'll have questions from the panel, closing comments by the petitioners, and then closing comments by the city. Any questions from you guys on there? Oh, good to go. All right. Burden of proof is the important factor here. So the Iowa Code states in part, at all hearings, the burden shall be upon the objectors with reference to any proposed item in the budget which was in the budget the previous year and which the objectors propose should be reduced or excluded. The code continues that the burden shall be upon the certifying board or the levying board, as the case may be, to show that any new item in the budget or any increase in any item in the budget is necessary, reasonable, and in the interest of public welfare. Let the hearing begin now. Gary, go ahead and start with your opening statement.
Municipal council members are required to adhere to the highest standard of duty applied by law. That is a fiduciary duty.
Excuse me. A little louder here.
Sorry.
You want to go ahead and turn it on? Thought we were tight enough in here we wouldn't need it. So that's
Okay,
my
I'm
fault.
sorry.
No, that's my fault. We'll get it going.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll start over. Municipal council members are required to adhere to the highest standard of duty applied by law. That is a fiduciary duty. This legally mandates complete loyalty, good faith, and reasonable care in managing municipal assets and tax revenues. In preparation, composition, and implementation of an annual budget, the council must be conscious of the responsibility, careful of the impact of an annual budget, the community impact on and a community that appropriating the funds may have. Iowa statutory and common law demands that council persons exhibit complete loyalty to the public and seek to avoid subjecting a council person to the difficult and often insoluble task of deciding between public duty and private advantage. We, the people in protest, assert that the Mitchellville City Council have failed to fulfill this duty with their submission of the fiscal year 27 budget. The presentation of exhibits and statements on May 27th hearing will explain the urgent concern of those in protest. The City of Mitchellville has continued a history of errors in a budget composure. Mitchellville's fiscal year 25 was not amended, presented publicly at council meetings as the best the city financially ever has been, and yet, as reflected on the fiscal year 27's budget, there was an overexpenditure of $135,980. This gave the public a false reflection of a financial state, leaving an improper foundation for any official to evaluate department appropriations. Mitchellville's disregard for following the budget and statutory requirements continues with fiscal year 26, as they now have passed the window of an opportunity to amend the fiscal year 26 budget. A mere glance at the budget re-estimation can reflect significant concerns and expenditures of a 50% increase of select line items. Mitchellville has also disregarded the statutory requirement to amend prior to ever increasing expenditures outside of those submitted line items. This negligence has denied the procedure outlined in Iowa Code to provide notice, conduct a hearing, and give the citizens of Mitchellville the rights regarding how their tax funds are appropriated. And submission of the fiscal year 27 continues to start a false foundation. Mitchellville's water and wastewater plants have continued to be in a state of disrepair. DNR compliances have not been met. Staffing requirements have been non-compliant for over a year. Staffing for city hall positions have also been static for a year, leaving no oversight over the city's financial well-being. The fiscal year 27 budget fails to address this necessity, but has significantly higher appropriation for public safety and park and rec line items. This is not a reflection of best interest of the city, it is a reflection of selective interest. For instance, economic development only holds a $16,000 appropriation, and the recreational cultural line item is set at $357,593. Mitchellville City Council have shifted focus away from infrastructure needs and towards elective ones. This is a problem that has progressed over the past few budget sessions, and now the community is starting to bear the burden. Iowa Code 2427 allows for those affected by a municipal budget to petition the submission and request a hearing to resolve the concern. This step has not been taken without an exhaustive, good faith effort and public input from citizens, other elected officials, and people of a professional opinion. For months, it has been pleaded to hire qualified and trained employees, something that is required by code. Respectfully stated, the city has instead hired underqualified individuals and paid them outside the pay scale of the position. Regardless of intent, the fiduciary decision should be to hire those that meet the requirements of the position and at a rate comparable to other municipalities. The accounting errors can no longer go on as classified as a mistake or not acknowledged. Professional resources have been offered and declined. The suggestion of contracting with a financial consultant was even presented to fall upon deaf ears. Priority and responsible management of municipal funds are not present in Mitchellville's 27 fiscal year budget submission. Therefore, we request the hearing of appeal respectfully, and it's only the option left to enforce the fiduciary duty of the City of Mitchellville City Council. You'll have with you a petitioner's exhibit list that has several submissions of letters and emails that are among city officials and DNR, highlighting the most appropriate one that would be the DNR letter of non-viability that shows the disrepair and state that the city is in. We have non-compliance and also violations of the wastewater plants. In an email with the exhibits, you also were shown a few of the photos of the condition of the plant. This did not happen overnight. This is a problem that still continues, but we are on the verge of complete failure now. That, among with the concerns of no oversight in how the city is conducting its business, is a great concern for the Mitchellville citizens.
Thank you, Gary. All right, Tom, go ahead and present the city's opening statement and exhibits as necessary.
May it please the board. We've received a complaint with regard to the way that the city budget was issued, and it's limited to Iowa Code chapters 24 and 384, which, as you know, gives citizens a limited right to contest issues with regard to the budget that's just been issued. Most of the complaint in this case deals with political issues and administrative issues which are not relevant to our proceedings, and they also deal with fiscal years that are not, again, before the board in our mind. We will address each of the complaints if that's okay, and we'll do it by verbally at this time. First of all, with regard to objection number 1, there's a surplus shown on the city books that's higher than the year before. And a lot of these questions could have been handled by just a simple question or call to City Hall. There was a bond which was issued by the voters in November of last year for $3 million to allow for repairs to be made to the water treatment plant. And that's why the balance shows higher than it did before. In addition, the city unfortunately has gone through a lot of upheaval recently and has lost several employees. In fact, the workforce is down significantly, which has resulted in a reduction of salaries and IPERS benefits and health insurance benefits. And those are all reflected in the larger amount that you'll see reflected in other issues that you'll see with regard to the particular budget. In particular, 7 employees are no longer with the city as a result of things that have occurred since the time that Mr. Brown was here as city administrator. We've lost 3 police officers. We've lost 1 public works employee and 2 out of the city officers. We currently do not have a city manager or city administrator, and we currently do not have a billing clerk, and they're seeking to fill those. But as you can imagine, without paying salaries and the resulting benefits that go with those employment positions, we're going to show a little bit higher surplus than we had before. So with that understanding, it's easy to understand why there might be a $2.2 million surplus. That's objection number 1. Objection number 2 has to do with public safety expenditures. There was a preliminary budget that was issued that showed that public safety, which includes both police and fire, was going to be at $1.2 million or $1,236,000. That was a preliminary figure. That was corrected, I believe, at the time of the certified budget. And it actually shows a reduction in costs in the public safety area. It should now currently read $817, which is a reduction in last year's budget, which was showing about a little over $800,000, $811,000. So that explains a number of different things that have occurred here too, as a result of the upheaval that's occurred, unfortunately, in Mitchellville. They lost their entire police force, and they've since replaced it with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that was an excellent change because the Polk County Sheriff's Office can provide law enforcement to the city for a lot less money than having a standing police department. So that should be reflected in the reduction which we see for expenditures in the upcoming year of $616,000. So that actually is a good thing. And again, I hope that answers objection number 2. Objection number 3 has to do with fiscal year 25. Now, Mr. Gary Brown, the one who's the primary objector, was employed by the city as city administrator from March 3rd, 2025 until August 12th, 2025. So fiscal year 2025 would be on his watch. Now, it's not unusual for a city, as you know, to issue a budget and then during the course of the year find out that expenditures may not be what they expected. And then they have to file an annual financial report to update their budget and then an amendment to the report as well, or to their budget. So it was $135,980 is what he says is the discrepancy there. Not a large amount for a city this size, but he made the decision not to file the amended budget. Don't know why, but he's complaining about something that he did, which is a little bit inconsistent with what the city did. If it needed to be done, then why didn't he file it if that was the situation? Objection number 4 has to do with the way the sewer treatment plant is handled, as well as the speed at which staff is being replaced. With regard to the sewer treatment plant, that's a DNR concern. The DNR is working closely with the city right now to correct a sewer plant problem that's been going on for a little, not just a short time, for a little bit longer than probably the city would like. The water is safe out here, but the DNR is working very closely with the city to make sure that a new plant equipment gets put in that will allow for safe reduction of water. And that's what the voters approved by way of the bond proposal too. Contracts have been issued, and work will begin this summer on the sewer plant. But again, it's not a budget issue necessarily that we see. It's more of a question of management, the way this has been complained about in objection number 4 in the first paragraph. Objection number 4 in the first paragraph with regard to staff loss indicates that I think the objector feels that we are not doing enough to replace the city administrator and the billing clerk. Believe me, the city is well aware of that shortcoming, and they definitely are trying to work hard to fill it. Our acting city administrator will tell you, quite frankly, she wishes it would get filled quicker too, because she's working overtime to try to make sure that all the work gets done here, and she's been a real stand-up person with regard to that effort as well. They are currently trying to fill both of those positions and are actively seeking to get that done. Again, not a budget issue that we can answer by way of the way the budget was issued, but it's more of an administration issue trying to get those particular employees put into place. I believe that is all the objections that I can see here that are relevant. If the board has questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them, and we'll be happy to supplement after the meeting if you so desire. Thank you.
Tom?
You have a question?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you. At this time, I want to see if there are any third-party intervening groups that would like to speak on this. Here, we're not talking about individual citizens, organized groups or associations. Okay. With that, we can start with rebuttal from Gary. Go ahead and step on up.
I'll form these rebuttals and the objections that they're numbered. The beginning balance of fiscal year 27 is highly regulated on what the fiscal year 26 ended as. It's the foundation for where we begin. And if they're incorrect to start off with, there's no way that the city council can diligently come up with the right appropriations for fiscal year 27. They were made well aware of this. It's a problem that was made aware in fiscal year 25 as well. Mr. Henderson, is that right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Mr. Henderson says it was put on my watch, but that was not the case in fiscal year 25. When I was hired in March 4th of fiscal year 25, the budget session was supposed to be handled by the city clerk, Ronnie Gross, at that time. She had some difficulties with that while I was at IMMI conference in Iowa City, and I was actually pulled aside by the Iowa League of Cities to come back here and review what had happened in our submission. The numbers that were gave to me, I could see very relevantly that they were incorrect and a concern. And the Polk County Auditor, Mike Ayers, can confirm that because he called me up with the concerns of that. We showed a line item in proprietary line of a deficit of 800,000, and I'm summarizing it was 800 some thousand, and in a special revenues line item of 82,000 deficit. That was alarming. The proprietary line, I contacted Ted at DOM, and he found that it was an AFR error where a permanent line item had held the funds that was supposed to be the proprietary line. That didn't resolve the special revenues line item. I still left it with a deficit. It was very concerning, and I brought it onto the council and Mayor Troball at that time because we were transferring 152,000 out of that line item. So we were over transferring that line item to I'm assuming, and you could find through another auditor how the state audit is completing this concern that they were over transferring it into the fire department even though the funds weren't there as received. That wasn't on my watch. As soon as I brought the concerns with that, along with payroll issues that were brought to me and some payroll issues that I had discovered through our financial software, I submitted that to the auditor's office, and immediately conflict in this city had began, and I was put on administrative leave in June. So nothing was ever moved forward with the budget submission. If you'll look at my exhibit, sorry. If you look at my exhibit J, that's the quality of the documents that were received to calculate whether we had a budget amendment required or not. And at that time, I did consult with Ted, the DOM, and he confirmed that if we did not go over those expenditures for that fiscal year, it didn't matter on the revenues received, that we weren't required by law to amend. So with the figures that I had presented to me, we were really close in the governmental line item, and if I recall, it was like $250 for us to coast out the fiscal year. But the rest of it, we were in the clear. Those numbers are not reflective of actually what the city numbers were. The city clerk and Mayor Troball were in charge of that. That was on their watch at that time. And as you can see with the fiscal year 27 budget submission, we do have a deficit of $135,000. My exhibit, well, I don't have the exhibit listed, but you all will receive a scanned list of Mayor Troball's campaign forum, and she proclaims to the public that it's the best it's been in 13 years, and we have a reserve from the fiscal year 25 budget. Obviously, a deficit of $135,000 over revenues received is not that. It's been presented at several council meetings, open and recorded, that the city was in the best financial state in 25 as possible. It appears that the city was representing something falsely to the public to get through this political dilemma that we have here. But it is not the case with our finances. And that's why fiscal year 27 is a great concern, because they haven't addressed those issues, and they haven't hired a consulting service to address it. We don't have staff that are qualified or trained to even do that. When I spoke to the council at the fiscal year 27 budget hearing, I presented these concerns and also gave them the suggestion to hire an outside financial consultant, get an RFP, and to just clear the books up for the city, because it's in desperate repair no matter who takes the position here. It's in a desperate repair for the interim city administrator to handle. After that hearing, Councilmember Morgan Lund met with me, and she went over some of the concerns, and she claimed that the $2 million they had on fiscal year 26 that was going to roll in fiscal year 27 was because they saved $2 million. I explained to her that's impossible out of a $3 million budget, unless you annihilate something completely. At that moment, she stated, well, that they've completed the police department through Polk County now, and if they were saving money there, it's not $2 million worth saving. And the fiscal year 27 budget that they submitted does show that $1.2 million in public safety increasing, not saving. So you can see how the concerns would be of the people, that the budget submitted to us, published under law, was not correct. Regardless if they corrected that, prior to submitting it to the state, they were required to have a hearing over what was published and give the people a right to know what was being appropriated. So it's alarming now to know that they've changed it from $1.2 million to $600,000. And I would have concern on whether those numbers are going to be accurate, or if the AFR in December will reflect that. As obviously the fiscal year 25, it did not. Objection number 2, it coincides with that, but I highlight the increase of that fiscal year 26 re-estimation. We have just a few months left, and the city is obviously outside their window to amend. That's a great alarm. They're required by law to amend that prior to the expenditures, and not only have they failed to do that, but they're ignoring the fact to even amend it all. So it gives an unstable foundation for fiscal year 27. Objection number 3, again, goes right along with it, because we're building foundation here. If they've never corrected the problem, they're well aware of the problem, it no longer shows an error, it shows negligence. You can't just keep building on a house of cards and displaying to the public that you're in the best financial state as you ever have been. Objection number 4. It addresses the state of our sewer system and the finances and how they were spent for that. Fiscal year 26, they did receive that bond. They did not immediately spend that bond for the immediate repairs that needed to be. We're still in a disrepair, and we're continuing violations. We have a non-viability letter in April of 26, and we won't complete that within fiscal year 27. But during their budget session, They did not address those issues, and they did not subtract the expenditures they have spent on that bond. It is known to the public that they intend to spend expenditures for a fire truck and surplus for that fire truck, and I say fire truck, fire duty truck, not the expense of a full fire truck, and then 2 police patrol units, even though we do not have a patrol police department. Those expenditures were immediate, and the disrepair of our sewer and water systems would reflect the priority of the city and of great concern to the people. That also being said, the vacancy of a operator for both plants has not been filled in over a year, and I would expect that the city could fill those within a year's time. They've hired individuals that were underqualified and wrote on the extensions of the DNR, and it's apparent in the exhibits B through M that the DNR and the state of our water and wastewater plants are on the verge of complete disruption. When you review those exhibits, you'll see that the city itself, between officials, are volatile, and that they're passing the guilt to each other instead of correcting the issues. So that's why the people felt in fiscal year 27, if they're not able to staff it appropriately or find the proper staff, that some kind of consulting firm should be included in the budget to fill our obligations to DNR and provide utilities to the public that are required. It's with all respect, everybody enjoys public, utilities and park and rec, but it's just the fact that the city council have shifted their focus onto wants instead of needs. You can see with the high expenditures in the park and rec department, and then economic development is down to 16,000. But there's a concern. I'm not sure of the organization. I was told by John Woods, because he was a member of it. Regional Planning Commission, East Regional Planning Commission, I believe, dissolved this last year and gave the city $40,000 in January for economic development, and that's not even reflected on our fiscal year 27 budget. That's not even out of the city's own expenditures. That's money that was supposed to be designated for that, and they're not even accounted for.
Can you say who was that from again?
John Woods.
Mitchellville, East Coast Regional Development is now East Coast Innovation Collaboration.
Thank you.
This city is politically in turmoil, and a lot of it revolves around the public safety and the fire department and the police department. And I don't think there's anybody in this city that will say they don't want those services. It's the fact that we need to prioritize where our services are rendered. Mr. Henderson also claims that the city has saved funds by not having that staff. The remaining staff, they've increased the wages for those outside the existing wages that were in place. Just as recently as last week, they voted to give an employee that resigned about a month prior, give him a wage increase plus back pay. It seems to be a going thing here in Mitchellville. A lot of employees in the last year have received back pay when they get a raise. So it's essentially like they were paid that from the start. And still these employees are underqualified. The overtime hours are extensively increased. So there's not as much shortfall as what Mr. Anderson refers to. Even the interim city administrator now, she's bringing in at least a $4,000 mark of overtime a month. So the expenditures are significantly increased. And she's not, with all due respect, she's not even certified as a city clerk yet or went through the academy for a city clerk's position. So we have a lack of the qualified individuals to actually run the city and the staffing that's required.
Thank you, Gary. Great.
At this time, we will hear public comment from any members of the public who would like to speak. If you want to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then please give your comment. Remember, keep your comments on point with the 26-27 budget. That's what we're here to appeal. So just keep it focused on that, and we can get going. Anyone who wishes to speak, go ahead and step up to the podium. Again, state name and address, please.
Sure. I'm used to it. So are they. Don Berkey, can you hear me okay, sir?
Yes. Can you spell your last name for me?
Berkey. 113 2nd Street Northwest, Mitchellville, Iowa.
Thank you, Don. Go ahead.
And now I'll have a disclaimer. Everything that I say following is my opinion. That clears me. All right. It's my opinion that the ex-mayor still runs the city council. This is, she did the last city council. And this is related to our budget. So I'm within the parameters that the chairman has set. And as far as the makeup of the new city council is concerned, none of them would have been on the city council except for a very wise political move by the ex-mayor. She had a controlled member of the city council resign 2 hours and 4 minutes before the new city council was to meet. At that city council, they would have appointed another member, and the next one in line from the November election would have been appointed. Okay, now, even if that third member that resigned wasn't there, there would be a new third member, and they in turn would have appointed other members. There would have been no need for a special election and the cost related thereto. The new city council is a result of the fire department's efforts through the ex-mayor on the telephone, their spouses and friends, to enlist these new members. Since then, the vote has been 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. All of their votes have been to the detriment of the city. They have emasculated the mayor, taken away all of his powers because they had the power to do so. But what I'm asking this board to do is to keep some of this stuff in mind. The money that this fellow over here mentioned from that bond, I think was 2.7 instead of 3 million, but that doesn't make any difference. The big money in there was for the fire department and the police department. The police department at that time was run by Bill Daggett, if you're familiar with him online. He's under indictment now through Baxter in Jasper County. He was our police chief and the mayor, ex-mayor's enforcer here, which he did through intimidation by law and just the privilege of his. He then was made the interim city administrator to take in the bills and approve those bills. The mayor made a contract for $8,500 with a private investigator who was the ex-police chief of Nevada, a buddy of Mr. Daggett, to investigate Gary Brown. As it turns out, it was nothing more than a smear.
We're going to have to agree to disagree. I think we've strayed from the 27 budget. Let's focus back on the 27 budget.
Well, this is the budget. The amounts of, I believe last year you said that fiscal year would be included?
No, just the upcoming fiscal year, 26-27 is what we're focusing on.
Okay.
The one that starts July 1.
I urge this board to look into the amount for the public safety and see how much is there for the fire department. I view that as a payoff for their support.
All right, thank you, Don, it's your time. Anyone else who would like to present testimony? Name and address, please.
Jason Batten. I'm the acting interim assistant director of public works.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Battin. So Mr.
And
Brown,
address, please.
215 2nd Street, Northeast, Mitchellville, Iowa.
Thank you very much, Jason. Go ahead.
So Mr. Brown brings up that we don't have operators in charge. We do. We're contracted with ISG, who has a good, outstanding relationship with the DNR. We've also moved forward with projects and getting stuff fixed and moving forward with our bond money that has been set off this side. I just wanted to clarify all that up.
Comment. 1 second. So we're going to work through just make a note. We may have you follow up with that. We're going to go through public comment first. Anyone else who'd like to speak? Name and address.
My name is Casey Hope.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Casey Hope.
Casey Hope?
Mhm.
H-O-P-E?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
My address is 403 5th Street, Northwest.
You said 5th Street? Thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that this could have been prevented. You are correct in saying that there is political turmoil in this town because of this disgruntled employee right here. He had the option to come to any of the open budget meetings and talk about his concerns, and he waited until the very last minute to do so. So if he wanted to be so helpful, he could have come before that. When he talks about the employee loss, that was under him that people left. The last thing I wanted to say is the Park and Recs fund that people are upset about. When you ask previous city administrators and public, like the development for towns, they ask one thing: what does your Park and Recs department look like? And if it doesn't look good, you're not going to attract new families. We need to grow. We need revenue so that we can pay for the improvements that we need. In order to do that, you have to attract young families. So yes, the city council did increase that for good reason. There are young families that want to come to Mitchellville, maybe not so much right now with the political turmoil that he has caused. And I just want to apologize for you guys having to come and do this. Jacoby has done an amazing job trying to get the budget to be done, but a lot of help that she could not get was because of political things that are happening in our community. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Casey. Anyone else who'd like to make comment? Go ahead, step on up.
My name's Elaine Webb, 301 3rd Street, Northeast, Mitchellville, Iowa.
I'm sorry.
Could you spell your last name?
Yeah, can you spell
Webb, W-E-B-B.
EB.
First name Elaine, E-L-A-I-N-E.
And give me your address one more time, I apologize.
301 3rd Street, Northeast.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
I want to get something straight. We did not vote on a bond, 2025. The city council approved it. The citizens of Mitchellville did not vote on a bond or a /loan. So I want to get that clarified. We have not voted on a bond since the bond came up when we had the fire department bond issue, and that did not pass. So I think that's something good to get clarified. Okay?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hello. Andy Cherikoff, Chariko, V as in Victor. 204 2nd Street, Northeast, Mitchellville.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
To me, it sounds like you like to pick on Parks and Rec. What it kind of sounds like, I'm just my opinion, but I just need you guys to know that we've been here, 26 years, I think. In the last 5 or 6 years, Matt has done nothing but for this community to get people involved in our city, other cities coming, by all the events he does. He's with the fire department. He raises all kinds of money for them. He also had help with Ragbri come through here, which brings money to our city. So if anything, I would ask that we give Parks and Rec not a whole lot of money, but just a little bit more, so he can do more things with the city and we can get the city together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we have another minute or two. Anybody else who wants to comment? Take one more. Okay, that we will wrap up public comment. Not yet. Okay. All right, so at this point, we will have questions from the hearing panel for either Gary the petitioner or city representation. So we can start with Ed. Any questions that you may have?
I don't have any immediately.
Okay, and then Cole, go ahead. You've got questions.
Yes, for Gary and the petitioners. I am hearing that you think both the public safety and culture and recreation functions are too much. What specifically in there do you think is too high? Do you have maybe a dollar amount that you think they should be closer to, or like why are those standing out to you as much as they are as being?
The main concern with the public safety line item is the fact that we increased from $800,000, and that was under Bill Daggett's rate. And if you look at the prior year's budget submissions, that was a 30% increase on the city operating program. So he had already amped it up, and then 1.2 million was another 50% increase. That's a re-estimation for fiscal year 26. It was going to be a detriment on where those funds are going to come from for fiscal year 27.
So that was the 829 was a 50% increase over prior
The
years?
re-estimation for fiscal year 26, as you can see on Exhibit A, what was published to the public, shows that the fiscal year 25 AFR was filed with $811,000. $811,909. They re-estimated with $1,236,728. So that's a 50% increase for re-estimation. When we lost our police force January 1, we contracted with Polk County in March. So, and it was presented in the March 16th and 19th meetings, which I will send you on scan disk, that we were saving money. The re-estimation, huge concern. And then they increase it still from 811,000 to fiscal year 27 to 994,000. So that's another $200,000 increase in public safety. And if you look back through the fiscal years, it's in fiscal year 22, we were significantly lower. That was 30% increase, 22 to 25.
Good. Thank you, Gary. Cool.
I am curious on the city's end. I see from my training, my professional training, large changes, those jump out to me. And so the fire department and the ambulance both jumped out pretty quickly to me as being large increases, especially over the prior year actuals. I'm curious what you are budgeting for in those, if you know right off the top of your head, just kind of explaining why all of a sudden the last 2 years we were looking at about $145,000 in actual expenses, and then doubling to $290 in the fire department. Not quite a significant increase in the ambulance. What is causing what are you anticipating the city needs in the coming fiscal year?
I do know, are you talking about for the 27 budget?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, so they were talking about hiring some more staff. They are, so with staff, they need more equipment.
The EMS,
The fire department.
fire department,
Yeah.
and EMS?
Yeah, so the EMS also was, I believe it was another paramedic, is what they were hoping to do. So that takes care of like the staff, the trainings, all the equipment they're gonna need, large churches. There's also, yes, they're building it. I mean, for their department, so there's like their roofs leaking, so we tried to give them some money for some building repairs. And then they did get some money for the bond, so that vehicle is covered by that bond money that they were looking at getting.
Do you know approximately how much that was, purchase price?
60,000,
And what type of vehicle was that?
a duty truck.
I think it's just weird.
So,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
so we got the bond money in 26, it was November of 26. But nothing's been spent and it's not going to be spent. Well, at the time of preparing the budget, there was no plans to spend it in 26.
More questions for you?
Those were the big questions I had.
Okay. So I'm going to start out with a question for the city. So the community and economic development, there's been a lot of talk about that being so low at 16,300 for the next fiscal year. How did you guys come to that number? What was kind of the methodology, or what is that anticipating to pay?
$16,000.
16,300, yeah. 16,300.
Should we have your?
Yep, yep, I can hear you. You might want to put the mic a little towards you so the crowd can hear you.
Well, I don't have.
If you don't have that one in front of you, you can follow up.
But it comes down to line items. I don't know if you recall, Ted, when we did the AFR, some of our, I think we pointed out some of our things weren't coded necessarily where they the cookie cutter plan would have them going. So there has been some cleanup of accounts as well. So yeah, I can give you the exact amounts I went
If you
into
could
it.
give
I
me
have all my
the line
worksheets.
item for economic development, that would be super helpful.
Yeah.
So we can see what that is. Could you also provide your line item budget for public safety?
Yeah.
So we can see where that's going. In Parks and Rec, there was a large increase in other culture and recreation, so kind of the catch-all unspecified category. So I would also like to see what is that 83,130, what is that containing? The prior year that was significantly lower at only 3,100. So I'm interested why that jumps.
That's the way that fell. So that's that line code. It's like 009 4900.
Mm-hmm.
It's our Recs department. So it's separate from parks, but it's parks and rec.
So that
so
would
it's
that
like
have
the
been on the,
recreation side, like the community events, all the festivities.
so you're saying that
we
would have
do.
included in the recreation line the prior year? Would it have been on the recreation line in the prior year's budget?
So following like that chart you guys provided to the budget go,
Yep.
that's why I put it there.
Okay.
Because that's where it's coded to go.
Okay.
Maybe it should be going to a different one.
Could you include me a copy of what's under that?
Yeah.
That code for this coming year?
Yeah.
So that we can see if there needs to be coded somewhere else. Because it does look, I mean, just looking at the 2 years together, it does look like those two added together is about the same amount. If I take the recreation line from 26 budget plus the other culture and rec from 26, it equals into about the other culture and rec for that year, while recreation in 27 gets nothing. So it was a big change and a big move, but I want to make sure that that's what that is, as that's my understanding of it.
I'm guessing that's just, yeah, where the code fell. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. As far as the hiring goes, give us an idea of what you're doing in terms of attempting to hire the necessary staff.
So we currently, well, we've had postings for all the positions for a while now. We actually had them, they have been posted and then things didn't move fast enough, so we reposted them.
Where are you posting? What kind of
The
postings?
list, so they were originally, they had been posted, just to Indeed.
Okay.
And then the second time around, they hit like the water superintendent and those departments hit like all the, our websites, the Iowa Rural, there was like a list of like 8 or 9 websites. DMAC, we put job ads out there. And then, so we had the ad for the city administrator, the public works superintendent, deputy clerk, and then we also have seasonal labor ads right now.
We got any responses?
Yes, we've had interviews for deputy clerks, and we're down to like our potential picks. And then we have interviews on Saturday, for some of the waterworks. And then that city administrator position, we had to reopen it because candidates that had applied. And so that one closes May 30th.
That is actively moving forward right now. Okay. All right. One last question, and just kind of a generic question we ask it basically every single one of these of the petitioners. Based on what you have submitted as the appeal points, what are you hoping for out of this? What do you want to see done with the 27 stated plainly?
As they've stated, they've allocated funds in there for staffing for volunteer fire department, volunteer department. So if they can allocate funds to staff that, I can see them allocate funds for our wastewater and water system as required by DNR, and that we were non-compliant in. Since the city has for over a year doing so, hired a consultant. And it's obvious that the books are completely disarray, and it would be an advantage and probably a savings to the city to hire a financial consultant to come through and review their books. So we wouldn't have to file a petition with the city or with the state to audit the city. Because it's obvious that they failed to amend for 3 years in a row, that they should have amended. Continue to build that. They would have financial consultant come in here, figure things out for me on this.
Thank you for bringing up the amendments. Remind me of one other question I have for the city. Where are you at with your amendment process for 26?
So as you guys know, we didn't have 4 under 3 months.
Mhm.
We had to very quickly do the budget, get this mission done on time. So I believe it was at that first council meeting in May, I believe, I had stated that I was working on getting amendments to get them out the door so that we could try to get them submitted in time. And then I got notified we were having this hearing, and at that point, I'm like, I have a list prepared, I have it all ready, but at this point, yes, it's gonna be crunchy to try to get the public hearing, everything posted and published and all those timelines met. Plus, I knew you guys might present changes that need to be made. So if you guys want, I will send you my list that I had prepared of the amendments that I had seen that I was gonna present. I will give it to you guys so you can at least see
That would be great.
where I was, what I was looking at, what I was thinking, my thought process.
That would be great. All right. You guys have any other questions?
I do not.
Ed? I do not. Good. Okay, then at this time, Gary, go ahead and make your any closing comments that you have. Maximum 5 minutes to do your closing comments. Go ahead to the podium.
I just want to review with the board that this was brought upon the board with a good faith and effort on not just myself, but several citizens of the community. We filed a petition with the minimum number because it was a last minute, but if need be, there would be 100 participants that would petition for an audit. So we're just trying to stop more expense to the city and get them on a good standing. They're underqualified. They don't understand the code for what they have to file, when they have to file the timeline to have budget hearings and amendments. And there's not an excuse for it when it continues every fiscal year. Nothing's been brought up that's not mathematically there. It's not any kind of ill intent. The numbers don't lie. When you claim to the community that you're in great standings and then you have a deficit of 135,000 past your revenues received, it's a problem. When you start a fiscal year for 27 off with an extra $2 million, and the response that was given was that you saved $2 million in fiscal year 26, you can understand why the alarm would be arisen. There are several emails and documents from the DNR to the city. I've included those in exhibits. There are several more that probably exist. Those are what I had access to. And duly so with the city being understaffed, records requests are limited. But maybe you guys might have a better opportunity to obtain those records. The city is in turmoil outside of the city is in turmoil outside of the political dilemma. They're in turmoil amongst themselves as well. And something needs to be straightened out for fiscal year 27 to get the budget in the proper condition.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Now, City, you have 5 minutes for closing comments as well.
Again, we appreciate the board coming out here. We do appreciate the help that we've got in the past with regard to keeping our budgets in line with state law too. I know that on an informal basis, the state will answer questions from time to time with regard to the budget. If I caused any confusion about the adoption of the bonds, I apologize. That wasn't my intent. My intent was only to state that the bond money had come in, and that's why you have a big surplus. That's what appeared to be one of the questions that was asked by the complainant. The city is a good city, and it's got good people, and everybody I've met out here, I've been impressed with. Right now, it is a city under stress, and part of the reason it's under stress is that we are constantly getting lots of requests for public records requests, and now we're getting this type of budget inquiry, which may not be founded on what the state law is designed to do with regard to these types of budgetary requests. If there's something we need to do to correct that, in the board's mind, we will absolutely do that, and that will be done quickly. And if the board has any additional questions after you conclude this meeting today, we'll supply you with additional information too, because we want to make sure you actually get very accurate information about the status of the budget at this time. But we again take the position that many of these questions that have been raised are political questions, they're administrative questions, or they're questions dealing with fiscal years that aren't really controlled by the code provisions that we're dealing with today. And I know that one of the things that Mr. Brown has raised about with regard to public safety, I think everybody out here is concerned about public safety and wants to see enough funds spent in that area. I do know that the board is limited to a certain degree. You can approve or disapprove or reduce the proposed budget expenditures and tax levies submitted on this appeal. If you want to disapprove of it because we haven't spent enough, we certainly will understand that, and we'll try to correct that as well. If you have any questions for us, please let us know. Otherwise, we believe that these particular objections are not necessarily well-founded, and we'd ask the board to dismiss them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So at this time, we will close the hearing. Just a couple of procedural matters at the end. As stated previously to both the city and the petitioner, we may ask for follow-up items as we've asked the city. We may have even further follow-up items based on what we receive, or after we go back and chew on this a little bit, we may come up with further questions. Please be responsive. Anything that we've asked for today, please have to us by June 2nd, end of business day, June 2nd, and also provide to the other party. State Appeal Board will consider all of this information presented when making its decision. After reviewing the information and from the public hearing and any subsequent correspondence, the board will consider the petition and make its decision at the regular meeting of the State Appeal Board on June 22nd. The decision will include a findings of fact, a conclusion of law, and a decision section. The State Appeal Board is a public meeting, and at this time there is no scheduled opportunity for participants to speak as part of that meeting. It will just be a rendering of the decision. The decision will also be mailed to all persons who received the public notice. So in this case, everyone who signed the petition will get a copy of the final decision along with the city. City and petitioners, if you have any questions, obviously reach out to myself or Joe Berry with the State Appeal Board as required. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for offering your input. We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. That's it.